Welcome back, everybody. Today, we're going to do a deep dive on something pretty wild.
Yeah, should be interesting.
It's like, when you take a totally unexpected election result
Right.
and then throw it into this, global economic system that nobody seems to have a playbook for anymore.
Yeah, it's
We're talking, of course, about Donald Trump's surprise return to the presidency.
Oh, yeah.
And the market's just bonkers reaction to it all.
It really is a fascinating case study.
Yeah.
The report we're looking at today, it's incredibly detailed.
Okay.
And even just like the initial facts they're pretty mind-blowing,
Lay it on me.
So Trump wins all 7 battleground states, which already nobody was expecting that.
Right.
Takes Arizona.
Right.
And he even wins the popular vote.
No way.
But like 4 million votes.
That's a
A
landslide.
total landslide, yeah. Nobody saw this coming.
And, okay, so we have the political earthquake.
Right.
But then there's the market's response, which is even weirder.
I know. You'd think. Right.
You would think, uncertainty would be the mood.
Yeah.
You've got a guy like Trump back in charge, somebody known for, really shaking things up.
For sure.
But instead of freaking out, the markets are hitting record highs.
It's crazy.
Dow Jones, S&P 500, even Bitcoin.
Yeah, Bitcoin. Up to like $90,000.
It's like the markets are actually embracing the chaos.
I think they are, yeah. It's like they're betting on this massive shakeup
Right.
that's going to benefit anyone who's, brave enough or crazy enough to just ride the wave.
So the report, does it offer any explanation for this?
It does, yeah. It points to a few things happening at the same time. Like the Fed's been making it easier to borrow money.
Right, which usually gets people buying more stocks.
Exactly. It fuels that stock buying frenzy.
Okay.
Plus, you can't forget the AI boom that's happening right now.
Yeah, that's pushing tech stocks way up.
Through the roof.
So we've got this, tech frenzy, but it's not like Trump's, the Silicon Valley darling or anything.
No, not really.
So what is it about his policies that has investors so hyped?
That's where things get really interesting, I think.
Okay.
This isn't just about being business friendly anymore.
Right.
This is about completely overhauling the system. The Republicans, they have total control now.
Wow.
Executive, legislative, judicial branches, it's all them.
That's rare.
It is really rare. And it means that Trump can basically do whatever he wants.
Implement any policy, push through any agenda.
Pretty much, yeah. And the markets, they're reacting to that power shift,
Makes sense.
especially in sectors like, defense, healthcare, finance.
Hold on, defense.
Yeah.
I was just reading about those defense contractors like Leidos and Amentum.
Oh, right.
Their stocks totally tanked.
Yeah.
Down 22% and 19%.
Yeah, that's a big drop.
That doesn't exactly sound like a vote of confidence to me.
See, that's the thing. It shows how investors are reading between the lines.
Okay.
They're not buying into that old idea that Republicans always mean more military spending. They're looking at Trump's real focus this time around.
Which is?
Cutting costs.
Okay.
Streamlining the government. Even in areas like defense, which are usually considered, untouchable.
You're talking about the DOGE.
The DOGE, yeah.
Department of Government Efficiency.
Right.
Which, on the surface, sounds so bureaucratic and boring.
Oh, I know. Totally misleading.
But clearly, it's anything but.
Yeah, this isn't just like rearranging some desks in a government building.
Right.
This is Trump saying, I'm going to take how the government works.
Yeah.
And I'm going to dismantle it.
Wow.
It's a bold move.
Bold's one word for it.
And the way he's going about it, it's so unorthodox.
Okay.
The report says the DOGE has this mandate to find $2 trillion in budget cuts.
$2 trillion. That's massive.
It's huge.
So where does he even start with something like that?
Well, that's another interesting thing. Instead of hiring all these career bureaucrats,
Right.
they're going out and they're recruiting what they call super high IQ, small government revolutionaries.
Revolutionary.
Revolutionaries, yeah.
So what, anarchists?
Right.
Libertarians?
Kind of, yeah. People who are so passionate about shrinking the government,
Okay.
they're willing to work for free just to be part of this.
It's like applying this startup mentality to the
Right.
entire federal government.
Yeah. And they're operating outside all these traditional structures, but then they also have this official presence online on platforms like X.
Yeah. It's both innovative and totally wild.
It is. It's a strange mix. And that same kind of unconventionality, it extends to the cabinet appointments, too.
Oh, yeah.
Marco Rubio is Secretary of State.
Wow.
Matt Gaetz is Attorney General. Robert F. Kennedy Jr. is heading up Health and Human Services.
Okay.
These aren't your typical picks for those roles.
Definitely not the usual suspects.
Nope. It seems like Trump is deliberately choosing people who are known for shaking things up.
Right. Challenging the status quo.
Yeah. For doing things differently.
Pushing back against the way things have always been done.
Exactly. It's a deliberate strategy to disrupt those existing institutional frameworks.
So does that mean it's working?
Well, at least from the market's perspective, it's sending a clear signal,
Okay.
especially for investors in the financial sector.
What kind of signal?
Potential deregulation,
Less red tape?
less government oversight,
Yeah.
more freedom for businesses to operate as they please.
So you've got this kind of perfect storm brewing,
You do.
easing monetary policy, the tech boom,
Right.
and then an administration that's not just business friendly.
Right.
It's like potentially radically pro-business.
Yeah.
So we've got this market rally fueled by, a bunch of different things going on.
Right.
But what's the actual plan here?
Yeah.
In the report, it keeps talking about going beyond America first.
Beyond America first. Yeah.
What does that even mean?
Well, I think that's a really interesting point that the report brings up. This isn't just about protectionism anymore.
Okay.
It's about strategically using the strength of the U.S. dollar.
As like a weapon.
In a way, yeah.
Yeah.
Like right after the election, the dollar index surged.
It did.
Oh, yeah. It jumped from like 103 to 106.04.
Wow. That's a big jump.
It is.
And I remember the report, it even compares this situation to the 1985 Plaza Accord.
Ah, the Plaza Accord.
Where like all these countries got together and they decided to devalue the dollar.
Yeah.
Are we talking about like huge shifts in global currency values again?
I think the Plaza Accord is an interesting comparison,
Okay.
but it's different this time around.
How so?
Well, back then, the U.S., they needed other countries to cooperate to make those changes happen.
Right.
Now,
Yeah.
Trump can basically act alone.
He doesn't need anyone else's permission.
Nope. The dollar's strong. He's got the threat of tariffs.
Right.
That gives him a lot of leverage in trade negotiations.
That's a lot of power.
It is, yeah.
All concentrated in one place.
Yeah, I mean, the Plaza Accord, didn't that have some downsides too?
It did. The report mentions how Japan went through a really rough period afterward.
Right.
They had this huge asset bubble.
Yeah,
And then what they call like the lost decade,
the lost decade, yeah.
where their economy just stagnated.
Basically went nowhere.
It's a good reminder that these massive shifts, even if they seem good at first,
Right.
they can have some pretty unexpected consequences.
Unforeseen consequences, definitely.
So like,
Well,
what are we missing here?
Yeah.
What's the catch?
yeah, it's a cautionary tale, for sure.
Yeah.
And speaking of consequences, who's probably watching all of this with the most anxiety?
I'd imagine China's got to be a little nervous.
Oh, absolutely. They are incredibly vulnerable to a strong dollar.
Okay.
And especially with the possibility of major tariffs getting slapped on their goods.
Right. The report really goes deep on some pretty dire predictions about what this whole thing could mean for the Chinese yuan. Like, analysts are saying it could drop to its lowest point in like 2 decades.
But 2025,
yeah.
it's not just like some random speculation either.
Okay.
The report actually cites specific numbers from, big financial institutions.
Oh, wow.
Like, for example, BNP Paribas.
Yeah.
They're predicting that the yuan could fall to like 7.5 per dollar.
Wow.
If we see 60% tariffs,
Yeah.
and then Jefferies, they think it could go even lower
Lower than 7.5.
to 8 yuan per dollar.
That's a massive devaluation.
It's huge.
So is China just sitting back and letting this happen?
Not a chance. They are like scrambling
Like that.
to defend their currency
Right.
and keep their market stable. They've, rolled out all these stimulus packages and they're
Okay.
using all sorts of like complicated currency management tactics.
Wow.
It just goes to show like how high the stakes are
Yeah.
in this whole economic, showdown.
It's like we're heading towards an actual currency war.
It is, yeah.
Not with like tanks and missiles, but with like, dollars and yuan.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. And it's not even just about China, No, this whole situation, it has the potential to like completely reshape the global economic landscape.
Okay.
We're talking like a shift away from globalization and towards something way more like fragmented,
Okay.
maybe even like adversarial.
So what does all of that mean for, the average investor?
Right.
How are we supposed to wrap our heads around this new reality?
Yeah,
It seems like all the old playbooks, they don't apply anymore.
you're absolutely right. This is uncharted territory.
Yeah.
The first thing I think that we need to understand is like those traditional ideas about safe havens,
Right.
they might not work anymore.
Okay, so gold's not safe.
Well, maybe, but maybe not. The point is, we got to be prepared for volatility.
Okay.
And expect unexpected twists and turns.
So basically just buckle up and get ready for a wild ride.
Pretty much.
Yeah.
Flexibility, that's going to be key. To really thrive in this new environment, you got to be able to adapt quickly to all these changing market conditions.
Right.
And be able to seize opportunities as they pop up.
What about, like, having access to information?
Oh, that's critical.
Yeah.
It's more important now than ever.
Why is that?
Well, because you got to have your finger on the pulse of what's happening.
I see.
You need access to real-time data
Right.
and, like, sophisticated analysis tools.
Okay.
It's not enough to just react to the headlines.
Right. You got to be ahead of the curve.
Exactly.
Yeah.
You got to understand the underlying dynamics that are driving these shifts.
So it's not about just being reactive.
Right.
It's about being, like, proactive, strategic.
Absolutely.
Maybe even, like, a little bit bolder than we used to be.
Yeah. A little bit of boldness doesn't hurt.
This isn't like set it and forget it investing anymore, is it?
Definitely not.
Yeah.
No, this is, you got to be active.
Yeah.
You got to be engaged, constantly monitoring the situation.
Okay.
And be ready to, like, adjust your portfolio as needed.
So, I mean, it sounds like we have to be more comfortable with risk now.
It does, yeah.
Right.
Look, there are going to be winners and losers in this new economic order.
Okay.
And being willing to take calculated risks
Okay.
based on, solid research and analysis, that's going to be essential.
Okay, so we've talked about the market rally.
Right.
We've talked about the potential for a currency war, the
Yeah.
reshaping of global trade, all this stuff.
It's a lot.
It is, yeah. So what's the key takeaway for our listeners?
Right.
What should they be thinking about as
Yeah.
they try to navigate this whole new landscape?
I think the most important thing is to remember all this market excitement, all this, stuff we're seeing.
Right.
It's just the beginning.
It is.
Yeah, it's just the tip of the iceberg. Trump's comeback, it's a fundamental shift
Right.
in how the global economy actually works.
Oh.
And we're only just starting to see those ripple effects.
It's like we're watching those tectonic plates of the financial world shifting beneath our feet.
Exactly.
And that creates both opportunities and, dangers.
For sure.
It's exciting for the people who are, prepared,
Absolutely.
but it's pretty scary if you get caught off guard.
Yeah, I know, right? It's been a wild ride, even just like trying to get through this report.
Yeah.
And who knows what the next few years are going to be like.
Nobody knows.
But it definitely feels like we're in like a whole new chapter of global economics.
I agree, yeah. And as we, try to figure out how to navigate this whole new landscape,
Yeah.
I think one of the most important things is just to stay informed,
Right.
to keep learning, keep adapting.
Right.
I mean, that's really what this whole deep dive is about, right?
Exactly. I mean, we've only just like scratched the surface here.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
hopefully this has given everyone listening a little bit of like a better sense of,
The forces at play,
Yeah,
the potential risks and rewards,
absolutely.
and just like the need to stay vigilant,
Stay vigilant.
pay attention to what's happening.
If this deep dive sparked your interest,
Yeah. Yeah.
I encourage you to like really dig into that report yourself.
Oh, yeah. People should check that out.
Yeah, it goes into way more detail
Okay.
about, the specific policies,
Yeah.
the global players involved,
Yeah.
and all the potential, scenarios that could unfold.
Sometimes it feels like I'm drinking from a fire hose,
I know, right.
just trying to keep up with everything that's changing in the world.
It's a lot.
It is, but, knowledge is power, or whatever they say, right?
That's true.
The more we understand,
Yeah.
the better decisions we can make.
Couldn't agree more.
Mhm.
This is not a time to just be complacent.
Right.
This is a time to be curious,
Okay.
to ask questions,
Yeah.
and to, seek out those different perspectives.
Well said. And on that note, we want to thank you all for joining us on this deep dive.
Yeah, thanks for listening, everybody.
We hope this is giving you some, valuable insights.
Right.
And maybe even spark some new ideas.
It's been great exploring all of this with you.
Yeah, it has.
And remember, in times of great change, like the one we're in,
Right.
it's the people who can adapt and evolve
Right.
who are going to thrive.
Until next time, stay curious.
Stay informed.
And keep diving deep.